Hey everyone, how are you? It's Daniel Diamond. And so previously I talked about relationships, and then I was, this had kind of had an epiphany, and previously I talked about things to kind of connect that are related to relationships, and there's sort of lots of layers and levels to sort of what's associated with relationships, but I sort of just went with this on the spot, and because as I get older in life, you kind of learn, you get in this flow state, and you kind of just you want to do things faster. I'm like really seeing what I'm projecting out onto the world and what's mirroring back to myself, because what I do to myself, I do to others. So you can see sort of the keys a lot to what you're projecting if you're unconscious about it, by just observing how you communicate and talk to others and stuff like that. And then you see that you're doing those things to yourself too. Whatever you do to others, you're doing to yourself ultimately. If you really realize that and think about it, it's really true. So like if you're, for example, if you're too critical about yourself, if you're too analytical about yourself, if you're too hard on yourself, then you're gonna, if you really think about it, you could potentially be that way with other people, even if not out loud, certainly just at thought, just in your mind. It's not necessarily something you're going to be very obvious to them about, but you still could at least think those thoughts about them and stuff like that. So it's always worth evaluating how you're treating yourself in every way, shape, and form, and seeing if you find that you're projecting those same sort of things out onto others. So by working on those issues with yourself, that's one of the keys to better relationships, is really talking to yourself better, because then you'll talk to others better, treating yourself better, and then you'll treat others better, etc., etc. So now for this sort of new series of conversations, it could be a series, it could just be one big one. I'm looking at my phone. I have about 53 minutes to do a video based on how much previous data I removed. So about how long I can go here. So I'll probably have room just to really cram it into one big video at once, and that's what I would prefer to do anyway, not separating all these separated videos. I've learned how to as time goes on, how to use my phone better with making videos and stuff, and how to have more room. So I'm thinking about calling this probably just one video, sort of like the keys to happiness, and other kind of stuff, and more, something like that. And what's in the name, right? But I want to have an attention grabbing name like the keys to happiness or something, and sort of and then those very keys are also the additional layers that could be sort of connected to relationships too. And then of course relationships are part of happiness as well. So it kind of goes all hand in hand. So it seemed like a good next step past relationships and getting to some other topics. And happiness is sort of one of these things that can get very like abstract and subjective to its meaning, and to what actually causes happiness. Some people could think they're happy while they're consumed by an addiction. Well, they might feel happy per se, but that's not true happiness, and that's really, to me, like false happiness. If you're giving in to things that are projective of your false self, you could say, like your lower self. Now, we can talk about the lower self and the higher self, but it really comes down to the fact that it's not that you try to kill your ego, as some people might say, or you can't like destroy your ego. That's a big part of who you are. And it's not necessarily all bad either. It's not necessarily low, but like the lower self is really perhaps different than the ego in a sense, although I would say it's associated. It's just different words, different descriptions. And sometimes I may not always use the best words to describe everything, but it's just kind of ways to explain things that can get philosophical, deep, or sort of subjective, or even abstract, physics orientated and stuff like that. It's like sometimes we just use words, in the moment that come out that seem best, but we could find other words later on that are more suited. But for the sake of the conversation, it's I just don't want you to jump to false conclusions about words I use and what they mean. But you can really look at these words and obviously what you can assume they mean, like the ego, the lower self, the false self, the inauthentic self, whatever you want to call it, as like really a means to act as a catalyst to wake you up to get to the higher aspects of yourself, the true self, the higher self, the part that you could say is more connected to your spirit. That's in alignment with your truth and your higher good, your higher calling. Being on your true path, not this distorted fake path that's full of like false programs, propaganda, corruption, and stuff like that. So it's not that you try to get rid of these aspects of yourself. They're there for a reason. I really look at them as being there to serve as catalysts to wake you up to what you need to change, not getting consumed and stuck in them, and thinking that you're finding happiness or love and stuff like that through those sort of distorted lower levels, if you will. They're really not there for you to live in, although a lot of people unfortunately do. They get stuck in those places, and then they get a lot of their stuck patterns, their karma. You could say their bad karma, or the negative karma is all there, and ultimately all those things are meant to accelerate you higher, hopefully, to get you to see what you're doing wrong, you could say, to then neutralize that negative karma, if you will, all that darker stuff, so that you get to higher and higher levels, and you just keep going up and up from there. It's sort of like the stairway to heaven, if you will. And sort of, in and of itself, climbing up that stairway to heaven, if you will, is a key to happiness, because as long as you're always getting higher and higher and doing better and better, it's like you're virtually guaranteed to feel happy, if you will. You're going to be rewarded with all kinds of good emotions and good states to be in. You really can't go wrong. And there's a lot of layers and levels of happiness, and there's a lot of things I could say about it. But so let me think. And here's another key. One thing I'm trying to do right now as I speak, and I realize it's part of being happy, is being in the present moment. That's one of the biggest ones. So right now I've decided to get not so stuck in my head, not overly think about what I'm saying, just kind of get in the present moment, be aware of my surroundings. So something I found is one of the best ways to sort of just get out of all your stuff, all your thinking, your negative patterns and stuff, is go out for a walk in nature. And the closer you are to real nature, out in a good walking path, I'm actually heading to one now, and just going there and pay attention to your breath, relax your eyes, pay attention to your body. Are you all uptight? Are your shoulders going up tight? Your eyes tight? Are any of your muscles tight? Are you making a fist with your hands? That's kind of a sign of anger if you think about it, or holding a grudge or resentment. If you got the fists and you're angry at someone, how dare they said that to me, and blah 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 blah, and this kind of conversation goes in your head, and you're thinking of what you can say to get back at them and all this stuff, and who knows. All these kind of things have to go, really. It's be aware of your periphery. You can even try to do all that at the same time. Pay attention to the in and out. Don't try to force it. Just let it be natural what it is. And you'll actually see that it's actually, in its natural state, it's actually pretty slow, and just how you're naturally breathing in and out of your nostrils. And it's actually very simple. That's a common meditation practice, to sit in a certain sitting position and just paying attention to your breath and out of your nose, and that's it. And just let your thoughts be as they are. Be the witness, the silent witness, if you will. And a lot of people say that silent witness is really who you are. That's the observer of what's going on in real time as moment by moment passes. So calm down, get out of that fight or flight response and that just that never-ending perpetual cycle of rushing or feeling like your time to do this and that. I had to be here, I had to be there, I had to be here at this time, I had to be here on time. Going on and on and on. I'm worried about it, what they're going to think. I got to worry about what I wear, what they're going to think about me. All these thoughts go in our head. We have so many insecurities and worries and anxiety and fears, all from like our inner child and our shadow. And so these are all things we have to do. So now I'm talking about more like a layer of meditating as being out active. You can call it like walking, meditating, if you will. You can even exercise, you can run and do it. It's like there's really no right and wrong. It's just it's really paying attention to your surroundings, your breath, your periphery, and really just honing that in. And walking almost like a bit militant, not like looking around, darting your eyes around nervously and checking everything out. Just keep your head in one position, look up straight, keep looking forward and ahead, and pretend like there's not a worry in the world. Like in those moments you can find perfection in nature, and your body, like your higher self, if you will, is operating you. Like instead of all these bad habits, destructive thoughts, thought patterns, karmic cycles, etc., instead of those operating you and owning you, which is making you, clench your fists, tighten your body up, walk fast, rush, have your eyes be tight, etc. You're just gonna let your authentic self rule over, which is free of all that stuff, right in the moment. Doesn't need all that stuff. It just is, and it's like sort of like the past, present, and future all at once happening in this single time right now. And then you're just gonna let everything flow. And now you do that. And I was actually looking this up right before I left to get the names right. But now, I highly recommend, first thing in the morning, buy this program. I'm not recommending this because I'm being paid money to recommend it. Simply out of what I think is your own best interest, out of what I found that worked for me. I'm not making any money off it. And I'm happy to get the name out there because I think they're a great music artist. But Source Vibrations. Go to their website. I think you can even sign up to get maybe 25% off. You just sign their newsletter with your email and they'll send you a code for 25% off, I think, a purchase or something like that. It's all reasonable prices. And a lot of this stuff you can get right on Spotify. But this program, from what I understand, is I had to buy it. I couldn't find it for free out there. So Submerge. Just look through their programs and buy Submerge. It's fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. And you do. They have the 4 meditations. I want to say they're an hour each. And the one that has the alpha, whatever the one that's giving you the alpha, I forget the name. It's like expanded awareness or something like that. It's going to give you that expanded awareness and that alpha brainwave state. Listen for an hour. It's really cool, and it really gets your mind trained to like be in a state that otherwise you wouldn't be in when you first get up in the morning. It's just great to like clear all the dreams you had and whatever stuff like that, and just start off with a expanded awareness, which is going to help. Awareness is one of the keys to happiness. Being really aware of everything you're doing while you're doing it, being very present, honing in deep into that awareness, and it's like when you're doing that, like you're really kind of getting through all the layers of projections and programs and really getting to what feels that true self, that authentic you that is just there, whether it's buried or not. It's there. It always has been. It's probably kind of almost screaming out to become like what it is. And but the more that you just fine tune yourself in this way, with the meditating, with the being aware when you're out in nature, as I am now, and just see, I think even when I get present even my voice will send like a different resonance, like different vibrations and frequencies, which you could even feel and sense. And then you can feel that sense of peace and calm and that flow, that aliveness. It's just, like you're one with nature, so to speak. I know it sounds a little cliche, but it actually is really true. Like you really feel like you're merged with your surroundings. You're one with everything. You're unified. You're at whole. And you just are as you are. And you're walking in the midst of your destiny. You're on your true path. And you're living it. And it's much easier to stay on your true path from there. You keep doing that. And you keep getting to higher and higher levels. And you don't pay attention to any of the false programs. I don't care if it seems true based on what's in the news or what your family believes or your friends are all out there panicking about, oh no, it's like the sky is falling and all this stuff. Of course, I'm being sarcastic when I say that, because the sky is not falling. I mean, everything's fine in reality pretty much outside of all the falseness. So, by that program, you're going to get your alpha in the morning. Then if you need it, you can do the theta in the afternoon, like during a nap or a rest. And then the delta you'll do at night. And then the beta one, I can't remember the full names for these, but you know by the name of the brainwave states. They're all associated with the names of each of the 4 programs. And the beta one you can do like while you're on the internet reading, or you can do it while you're reading a book or studying or anything like that. You want to improve your focus. And I even use it when I'm surfing the web or researching good information on the internet, or it could be anything. So, as you can tell, it seems like the reason why I always talk about meditating and doing the inner work is because it really is the most important thing. It's not only the most important thing to relationships, it's also about the most important thing. It's the biggest key to happiness, then, is what I've realized. Just in this very moment as I'm speaking. It's not that I have to overthink about it, but it becomes very apparent that is the biggest key to happiness, is discovering yourself inside yourself, not out there in the world, not finding happiness, from, speaking of relationships, not depending on someone for happiness, not depending on friends or family for happiness, not depending on anything that's really outside yourself. Everything is a mirror of you anyway. You can't get outside yourself, so the world is your mirror. You could even say, like, Deepak Chopra wrote a book called this, but you are the universe per se. That's another maybe subjective way to put it, but it's all in how you want to view it. It's different ways to say I want to say the same thing. So, we are the universe. We are you could say a human system, holographic system that we're all living within. We're all living within each other, you could say. Our own personal, we view through the 5 senses, but there's so much more than those 5 senses. And that's another topic, but well, actually, I say that's another topic. In a sense it is, but I can sort of still talk about something associated with that has to do with happiness, which is, I'm going to turn around now. Which is that it's, I would say with the meditation for honing your pineal gland, your third eye, it's going to help with this kind of stuff. But becoming aware of what you may not necessarily see or hear or feel, but it's actually all around you. Like you could say it's an interdimensional kind of thing, and there can be, like, who knows exactly what is all around us that we can't perceive, or most of us can't perceive. We may not see it, we might sense it, but really trying to not let anything that could be there that you can't see affect you. And people talk of, it could be anything, entities, or there could be souls, or there could be different beings that are actually in this realm that we may not see, but anything that seems to be affecting you in a negative way, even on unseen levels. So what's to say that, just have fun with the idea that there could be unseen forces maybe I should say forces. There could be beings or entities or forces or whatever you want to call it. Who knows? Souls, maybe people that didn't pass on to the so-called other side are stuck around here. They're sort of confused and they're playing, karma here still, and they could be interfering with like our emotions. They could be, who knows what could be going on. I mean, but in any case, anything that you can perceive outside of your five senses that could be interfering with your energy, try to hone into that. And who knows what could be going on during the dream state while you're awake. Just pay attention to that. Don't overly think about it. Don't overly worry about it. But it's always good to pay attention to subtle possibilities that could be interfering with your progress in any way, shape, or form. So, and then you can use like I use organite crystals. I actually get these like pyramid shaped things that have like crystals in them and stuff, and they really do work. I'll put them like on my desk behind me when I sleep, and they seem to enhance sleep, and maybe you could say they act as a form of protection. And I also will use this quartz. It's like this spray. God, I wish I could remember the name of the company. It's like I know they get them from, I want to say, the Arizona, like the vortex area down there. I think it's Sedona. So if you look up something like Sedona or something like that, like quartz or lavender spray or something like that, they have different ones. You might find that, and I'll even spray that in my rooms, like to really dissipate energy, negative energy. It's good for meditating. It smells nice. It does seem to work. And who knows? I think there's validity to that product, so I'll use that too. You follow my Instagram. I think I have a picture of it up on there somewhere from maybe about 3 months back or something like that. And so I did put it up on there. And some other video, I'll remember the name and I'll mention it again probably. So, or maybe I'll put it in the description on the YouTube video. So as things I talk about that I recommend. So you got the full name, and most likely I'll put the source vibration stuff that I recommend too. But so yeah, going back, and also meditate on your pineal gland. Do the pineal gland meditations from source vibrations. I think you can even find those on Spotify. I think they even have a new one on their YouTube. And other really good ones from them is all their chakra meditations. You can start with the root chakra and go up. I did those for a long time. That really made a big difference too. I also do Rise, realizing your sublime energies. But that's something I went to live at one time in person to take a class. But if you're not from like the New England area, then I know maybe they have them around the world by now and stuff. But I got the CDs in the book, and those are tremendous too. Those are one of the best. That's one of the best like systems I've found for clearing your energies, raising your vibration, your frequency, getting out of all that stuck stuff, and really just kind of moving on with your life, and working on your thought patterns, and really just dissolving the ones that are really counterproductive for you and stuff like that. So these are gems that most people aren't aware of, but their worth is in gold. Really, it's like they're priceless. In any case, just find like good chakra meditations, and do your pineal gland opening meditations, do your brainwave meditations, and then I have my deep dive meditation list on Spotify, and I'm Daniel Diamond on there, and you can find that, and that is excellent for all kinds of meditations. I know Glenn Harrold is one of my favorites for self-hypnosis. So that's another layer you can add to your meditation programs is self-hypnosis. There's breathing exercises there. The Indigo Dreams is really one of my favorite ones for quick little meditations or breathing exercises or affirmations that are pretty effective. There's lots of people out there, but if you go through all, I really got the best of the best in there. I got even the source vibrations. I got the pineal gland meditations. The 4 alpha the 4 brainwave state ones I mentioned earlier, they're not on there because they're not on Spotify for free. You got to buy it. That's just one of the programs and source vibrations you need to purchase. But so with these programs, you really laid your foundation for your inner work, because the inner creates the outer. The inner creates your perception. And perception is like really the foundation for who you are, because your perception then creates certain behaviors, and those behaviors sort of create these certain behavioral patterns that then, raise your frequency, lower your frequency, get what you want in the end, or actually, distance yourself from people and stuff like that. And so one of the keys to happiness, to me, if you're so disconnected from other people, if you have to separate yourself from other people so much, if you're so judgmental about other people, if you have all these programs running in your head that make you think you got to judge someone about this or that, or even judge yourself in this sort of way, and you notice that you're feeling bad, you're full of fear, anxiety, you're full of anger, you feel of judgment about other people, you're critical of others, you're critical of yourself, your self-esteem is low. These are all low frequency, these are all like low vibration states that really are telling you that they're false. That's how I look at it. If you're feeling that way, if you're thinking this way, then it's all coming from a false place. And so that means that the conditioning that you're giving your power away to is ultimately false. And it could be coming from good, well-intended people that think they know what they're talking about. But ultimately, it has to be coming from probably a false program in most cases. If you're feeling all those, negative, really negative things, you're stuck and you feel like you can't move on, you're tired, you're so tired, you're so stuck and worried and full of anxiety and fear and sadness and depression and anger, and you feel so divided and conquered from other people, you feel so separated from other people, you're alone, you're lonely. I know during the virus we're all going to feel more lonely, because it's sort of easy to get in that mode of feeling like you have to be so separate and so alone, and everyone's a potential carrier of a virus that, oh no, and so forth. And do your homework on this stuff. Don't just blindly give your power away to stuff that may not be all 100% accurate. If anything, it doesn't feel right to you, if it's full of contradictions, research it, come to your own conclusions, find out. I'm just saying, there's a lot of bad people in this world, a lot of corrupt people, and if you think, now I talked about like psychopaths and sociopaths in a previous conversation, well, wouldn't it make sense then that that a lot of those people could actually be some of the ones that are making the biggest decisions in the world, because they want to be in a position of power and control like that, and who knows what their true agenda is. So just be careful with people, and be careful who you listen to, who you believe, because it's just a belief. A belief is just a belief. Does it mean it's true? No, of course not. A belief does not prove anything to be really valid or true. So again, it becomes apparent if it's true, if it feels really off, if your intuition is telling you something isn't right, if even if most people are doing it, it doesn't matter. It's probably wrong. It's probably false. And so, let's see, moving on about happiness then. So, that's one big layer, is your interior world, your self-work, your shadow work, doing like your inner child is a meditation in my deep dive meditation list. Oh gosh, the guy that does it his name is escaping me right now, but it's about the inner child. It's in there. You'll see the only one I think about the inner child. And it's like these affirmations and stuff, but these like subliminal affirmations will help to appease your inner child and get it over itself, and have you moving on, because the inner child is a big one. And then all your shadow stuff, and your chakras, and your thoughts about yourself, whatever your self-talk, your affirmations will help to, over time, help with that. And well, you really got to clear your chakras out, I think, to have affirmations really work, because there can be certain programs that are tainted by a lot of negative karma, or like, who knows, and you want to like really dissolve all that first, I think. So beyond all that, so you meditate in the morning, you get up, what's the first thing you're going to do? You know, either you have work or you have your obligations, but you're probably going to eat. So here's the next big key to happiness is, you know, as the old saying goes, you are what you eat. And there's a lot to say about that, but now if you're coming from a really low place, you're probably going to use food for comfort, and then you get addicted to bad food like sugar, high fructose corn syrup, white flour, white sugar, you know, simple carbohydrates, simple sugars and all that stuff, and those are the ones to avoid. So number one with your diet, you know, try to eliminate gluten as best you can. You know, I would say a little bit of, at Whole Foods and whatnot, at the health stores, you can find these breads that are gluten-free, or they might have sprouted wheat mixed with other good stuff, seeds, sprouted seeds, and different types of gluten-free flours and grains or something mixed into. And the more sprouted they are, the better. So if you can't get off wheat right away, or even if you're going to reduce it, at least go that route. But get rid of like the white flour in particular, and try to go for organic most of the time. But research on the internet what needs to be organic and what doesn't, because some foods don't need to be organic because they're already basically free of herbicides and pesticides. And I think research a dirty dozen. Those are the top 12 to definitely avoid. But there's other ones that get a little more subjective. You can have them sometimes, or you might decide to avoid them altogether, especially if the organic's not that much more expensive. But you know, there's a reason why organic food is popular. It's not just because it's some health fad for, you know, the upper class or something like that. It really is generally better for your health. In some cases, it doesn't matter. But I can think of an example like blueberries. You don't want to eat conventional blueberries. You can get them wild, because if they're grown wild, they're grown without herbicides and pesticides. So they don't have to be called organic. So that's a distinction you can make too between wildly grown and also organic too. So if you are what you eat, then what would you be if you ate superfoods? You would be super, right? You would feel super, and it's true. And I take a lot of so-called superfoods, and they definitely help. I mean, there's so many of them out there. This is going to have to be another topic where maybe I make a video and I show them, and I put, you know, the names in the YouTube video in the description and stuff. But so look out for that at some point. But let's see. So, you know, I recommend as a good resource to go to the Paleo Mom. I think it's just thepaleomom.com. She's really the best